This is me inside the world's most secretive country, North Korea.
Yes, Mr. Kim!
And you're probably wondering how I ended up here. Well, the simple answer is I booked a flight and spent 3,000 euros, but that doesn't sound as exciting.
I'm in Beijing, China, and right now I actually have to go to a brief meeting. I don't really know what's going to go on. Probably don't do this or you'll get killed is what I'm guessing the meeting will be. Also, I'm the only person in Beijing in shorts. Everyone is looking at me like I'm insane. I'm not insane, I'm just Scottish.
The briefing was about 3 hours long and it was pretty much like, don't do these 30 things or you might get beheaded. In all seriousness, the rules were pretty easy.
All excited for tomorrow. I've never been so nervous yet so excited for a trip in my entire life. Have you ever found out you're going on holiday and been also shitting yourself at the same time? That's how I feel about this trip. There's two ways it goes. It's like, wow, I either get a really good YouTube video of this or I might die.
Your name can be tricky for Koreans.
I didn't really get what he meant when he said this, but upon further research it turns out that my surname is South Korean for North Korea and is apparently considered extremely offensive.
So that's us just got our North Korean visa. Just like the Chinese visa, it's actually a visa that they put in your passport. I would show you it, but I think I'd be doxing myself. But it is very cool and it's definitely not subtle when visiting other countries now. Okay guys, we are in the queue for Air Koryo going to Pyongyang. The sign isn't on the screen yet. Also, I don't know how much I'm going to be allowed to film. They've said that on the last flight, the tour that came here yesterday, they weren't too happy with the cameras being out. So I'll try to film what I can, but I'm not going to push my luck here. Just got our boarding pass. It says Beijing to Pyongyang. Very, very surreal. Pyongyang, Gate 7. Always going swimmingly. So far. Okay guys, that's us heading onto the plane now. We're not yet, we're just away to the gate. There is our plane. I don't think I'll be allowed to film on from this point onwards. Boarding the plane to Korea.
You might notice that I keep on referring to it as the DPRK or just Korea, and that's not me just trying to sound fancy or political. It's because the word North Korea is actually considered extremely offensive. If you say North Korea to the Korean guides or just to anyone whilst you're in North Korea, you might land yourself in trouble, and by trouble I mean an execution. It turns out that they weren't that strict on the plane. Maybe they just didn't notice my camera or they just didn't care, but I was able to, you know, film pretty much everything. Firstly, the plane was like this really old Soviet plane, but then I was immediately greeted with a brochure with the face of the only fat man in North Korea.
Been given some entertainment for the meal,
which is already our first sign of propaganda, and we've not even left China yet. It was very weirdly phrased and photographed. The whole country seethed with the happiness and excitement of the people. Yeah mate, I'm sure the whole country is seething with happiness. As well as pages dedicated to showing their nuclear power, just to show you that Kim Jong Un means business. Then we had to fill out 3 sheets of information pretty much saying who we are, what we're bringing into the country, what our job is, etc. Then we got our mid-flight meal, which was consistent of Korean snacks and a cold burger. It turns out in North Korea a lot of their special dishes are served cold. I wonder why that is.
Well, that's us landed in Pyongyang. Arriving at 4:19 PM, almost 4:20. Okay, so I know what you're thinking. How is immigration? Immigration was actually completely and utterly fine. The passport man was nicer than any passport man I've met. You've all been through passport control. Sometimes they look at you like you've shagged and murdered their family. And yeah, we've met our 2 guides, all very nice. Yeah, it's all very exciting.
For the whole journey, you have 5 guides and 1 driver here.
These were my female guides and this was my male guide, Mr. Kim.
Yes, Mr. Kim!
Turns out there's a lot of Mr. Kims in North Korea. But one of the things we were most excited about, and you can't really say this about any other country, and it's simply to look out the bus window. Everyone just had their eyes glued to the window of the bus just so we could actually see what North Korea looked like. And of course you're immediately met of signs of propaganda, and then you see buildings and apartments that look eerily brand new, and you can see these plants on the balconies that are clearly fake. And then you've seen the countryside, which kinda just looked a bit depressing, but that's kind of expected given the weather in North Korea at this moment. And then the first thing in the itinerary was to head towards the stadium where we'd be starting and finishing the marathon. I uploaded a completely separate video on the marathon. If you want to click that, that will be down below. It was generally one of the most wildest experiences of my life. I recommend giving it a watch.
Okay, so now we're at the stadium of where we're going to be running the marathon tomorrow. As you can see, it's in there. Very cool stadium, to be fair. Who needs a Camp Nou when you've got what's the name of the stadium?
Stadium Kim Il-sung.
The Kim Il-sung Stadium. Okay, thank you. The Kim Il-sung Stadium. That'll be me tomorrow on the podium with my prize. Look at how much YouTubers there are here. Look how many people with cameras there is. And there's the Arc de Triomphe there. And then you can just see the point of that big, really tall triangular building that you see of Pyongyang. Now we're going to the hotel, I presume. I presume we're going to the hotel. Yeah, and we'll come back here to race tomorrow. Very exciting stuff.
In some distance, that is the bronze statues of the great leader President Kim Il-sung and the General Kim Jong Un.
So here we are at the Sosan Hotel, I think it's called. Don't really know what to expect, but I mean, who would? A red carpet with the man. It's very nice, and they've got the football on. Real Madrid versus Manchester City.
Yeah, the whole like football game thing was very weird. Like even in the airport they were showing the exact same game as the one I seen in the hotel. And it wasn't even a game that was like happening then and there. It was like a game that happened like a month ago. I think it's just their way of showing foreigners, look, we do have football. In 2010, North Korea qualified for the World Cup. It was their first appearance in something like 40 odd years. So they decided to show the game on North Korean television, and I think they only lost like 2-1 to Brazil, which is very good for a country like North Korea. So they decided to keep on showing it on national television, and in the next game they lost 7-0, and it was so humiliating that they never showed a football game on the telly again.
They've got some North Korean tracksuits over there. I really want one. That's really cool. Oh wow, look at the souvenir gift shop that's in the hotel. This is so cool. I'm going to spend so much money here. Okay, I've got myself these trousers, this top, and then I've got myself the football top as well.
First floor restaurant.
Literally everything. Gym, wading pool, what a posh words. Barbers, yes, let's get a North Korean haircut. Okay, time to check into our hotel. Oh wow. There's our hotel room in Pyongyang, North Korea. Better get this light on. So these? I have no idea. Bathroom with a fancy door. Basic bathroom, but overall quite nice. What's under here? Some tea, oh how lovely. I love tea, how did you know? Oh wow, that's amazing. Wow, genuinely what a good view. I did not expect this at all. And we are 30 floors up. Hope you're not scared of heights. Genuinely, this is one of the most impressive like skylines I've actually seen. Wow, this is so nice. This feels very surreal. I can't believe I'm here. I can't believe I'm here. I can't believe I'm here. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate you all for putting me in a position to be here. What the fuck? So we're going to try to switch on the TV here and the DPRK, because apparently there's only 3 TV channels. Oh yeah, I love that channel. Love that one too.
Oh, we're not going to get any cable. I was really excited for this experience.
Oh, yes! There we go. Is it not Chinese?
What language is that?
I bet that's Korean. No, that sounds like Mandarin too.
I think we're watching a... Oh, they actually have TV here.
Damn. Nah man, they've got CCTV, certainly. Okay, now we're going to go to the restaurant, see if there's some food. Oh, there is food, obviously, it's a restaurant. Honestly, this hotel is so cool. More gift shops. I have to pull myself away because I just want to buy everything. Like, look at all these really cool pins. Look at that one with the pistol, with the very, I think it's from that really infamous photo. But so many cool ones. So many books, so many pins. And now we're going to head to the restaurant, which is in there, I believe. I'm going to come with a suitcase full. I should have brought more money. Because there's no ATMs here, so of course I can't get out more cash. They've even got Scottish whiskey in the DPRK. I feel represented. Yeah, she did. I do not speak Mandarin. And it's at $8.3. Jameson, $55. Wow, this is cool. I'm going to have to buy some of this. Look at all these photo frames. Okay, we just had dinner. Typical like Asian buffet. It was alright. Also, got my marathon top for tomorrow. Don't know if I'll wear that because sometimes my nipples bleed when I wear a new top for the first time during a run. Going to head to bed now. Look how friendly this is. We've got snooker or pool. I get confused between the two. I can't remember. Look at me and all my merch. And yeah, going to run tomorrow. Hopefully win the whole race. Who knows? Who knows what I'm capable of these days?
It was so weird when I woke up because I was like, oh damn, I'm actually in North Korea. And then when I looked at the window, it was like something out of the Truman Show. Good morning, guys. From the DPRK. And just remember the view from last night. Look what it's like this morning.
Yes, you literally cannot see a thing.
Now time to
Get ready for the marathon.
And then we went to run the marathon, which was absolutely incredible. There was a full stadium of 50,000 Koreans singing songs. We got to run in the streets in Pyongyang, which is the only time you're ever allowed to be in North Korea without a tour guide. And then we got to finish in a stadium full of 50,000 Koreans, and then even got to watch a football match afterwards. I recorded a whole separate video on that, so if you want to watch that, that will be down below.
And there we can see 50,000 of the Koreans leaving the stadium now. It's crazy.
This building is the most impressive yet the most interesting building in the whole of North Korea. It's 105 stories and 330 metres tall. It is generally a very impressive building and even glows up at night, displaying different logos and symbols. The construction started for it actually in 1987 and over 3,000 hotel rooms were built. But the funny thing is, it never opened as a hotel. And yet, it's just not open despite this incredibly impressive building. The rumours are apparently on the inside it's not ready at all, which is the classic North Korean technique. Make something look really nice on the outside, but on the inside it's just crumbling.
So this is a review of Pyongyang during the day. It's really cool. And also there's a football stadium down there. And another football pitch. Damn. And then a fishing pond. Damn, they love their sports here. And you can hear, if you listen closely, music.
And then after the marathon, we were scheduled to go to the water park. Apparently they didn't want us. That's a normal thing to happen in North Korea. They just said they didn't want us today, so then we decided to go back to the hotel, then head out towards the zoo.
Looks like your mum.
Now the trip to the zoo is where things started to get really interesting, because that's when we started seeing the more real sides of North Korea. And by that, I mean we started to see things that made us question the trip. Firstly, I actually made a bit of a mistake. At one point, I decided to go to the toilet. I asked my tour leader, they said it was fine. But then about 5 or 6 of the Koreans kicked up a fuss because apparently I was not allowed to go to that bathroom. It was too late, I was already there. But then when I came back, there was 5 or 6 Koreans all arguing about why I was allowed to go to that toilet. It didn't have any running water and they had this very weird bath looking thing, which I didn't know what it was for. Apparently that's to wash your hands. To me, it looks like a bath. Now the zoo was very funny because you could clearly tell there was people planted to keep an eye on you. They make it seem like you've got all this freedom to walk about, but in reality there's normally a guy there on his own who's pretending that he's also there to take a picture of the animals, but he's really there just to keep an eye on you, and it was so painfully obvious, especially once you noticed it once or twice. So everyone was kind of staged, but then every now and again you would come across people that didn't expect to see you, and those people were most likely always kids or teenagers. And there was one point where we came across these 2 boys and you could see they started to panic and not know what to do. They must have been, 11 or 12, and they'd clearly never seen a foreigner before, and you could tell that they were intimidated not only by us but by the cameras as well.
누구 동생입니까? 오늘 쉬는 날?
We were warned beforehand that we might not necessarily like the living conditions of some of the animals, and that was true especially for like these massive turtles in these tiny little ponds.
Just ride the wave, bruh.
And some people were gently convinced that some of the animals were fake. And then we got back from the zoo and we went to check out some of the hotel facilities, one of which included karaoke.
There we go, Korean karaoke. Woohoo, what the? This is all in the hotel, by the way. What song are we going to sing, guys?
Oh, here they have Nirvana, Sugar Ray.
They have Nirvana.
Oh,
Is that sure?
Ed Sheeran's not Scottish, no.
But that was the end of our first proper day in the DPRK. It was a very interesting contrast throughout the day. We went from this amazing marathon where we felt like we had the most freedom in the world to then going to this clearly staged zoo, which made us rethink everything we had seen early in that day. I went from wow, this is an open and free city to wow, this is clearly a very staged city. But one thing was for certain, I was very excited for the next day.
Good morning, guys, from a very, very sunny Pyongyang. This is my 3rd day in the DPRK, and I'm very excited. It's went very, very quickly. I don't really know what the itinerary is today, but I think it's more of the touristy things I've seen in the city. Quite excited. I'm not exactly too sure what it is minute by minute, but before we did come on the tour, we did see the itinerary, and it was, hour by hour. But some things changed last minute. So here's the view. It's quite a crazy view. Yeah, we're gonna head down. We're gonna get breakfast, then get back on the tour bus and see what the crack is. I don't really know what to expect, but neither do you, and that's very exciting. Also, look, I've got on my DPRK pin. It's quite interesting because of course we haven't had internet at all the whole trip, which has actually been quite semi-refreshing. Although you can pay $1.8 to spend 10 minutes on the Wi-Fi. I don't know how safe or secure it would be, but I'm sure I've got a trick up my sleeve for that one.
But if I was going to use the internet in North Korea, I would use Surfshark VPN. The last thing I want is to be caught by the North Korean government watching Gangnam Style on repeat. In case you don't know what a VPN is, it masks your
your IP and changes your real-time location. So I could be in Scotland, but my phone might think I'm in Zimbabwe. The most common use for this is when you want to use Netflix, and you know that the US Netflix has a better choice of Netflix than the UK one. So you just change your location and then you can watch more shows. But in my case, I was in China, and you've heard of the Great Wall of China, but have you heard of the Great Firewall of China? Instagram, Facebook, WhatsApp, even Google are all banned in China. So when I was in China, I had no way of communicating with my whole family, so then I had to use a VPN in order to be able to even communicate. I actually had to use a VPN even to be able to access my banking app. I use Surfshark because it's fast and reliable, and I can use it on many devices. So I can use it on my phone, I can use it on my laptop. So when I'm traveling or working remotely, it's very important. So all I need to do is get up Surfshark on my phone, scroll through the countless countries that they have, find a country that will suit me in China, I connect to the United Kingdom, takes a second or two, bang, connected. Now I can actually talk to my mum again. And have I got an offer for you? If you use my link, you can get 4 months extra at no further cost. Surfshark also offer a 30-day back guarantee, which means if you're not happy at the end of the 30 days, you can get your money back. Guaranteed. Go to surfshark.com/Buchan or use code Buchan at checkout and you'll get 4 months for free with Surfshark. Thank you Surfshark for sponsoring this video and the channel. Now let's go back to North Korea, where the only thing more restricted than internet is, well, everything else.
Okay, so now we're heading to breakfast. For breakfast, lunch and dinner, it's just been the same kind of buffet, the same kind of meal. And I won't lie, the only thing I've disliked about this trip so far is the food. There's been some very questionable choices.
That is not spaghetti.
The meat doesn't really look like meat. I think on the last trip 6 years ago, apparently they were even offered dog soup, which apparently they're not going to offer this time around.
So if you look at all the trees, you can see plastic around them, and I believe that's because apparently this area can suffer from forest fires. I don't know what that's to stop them doing, like stop the root getting burnt. I don't know, I'm not a forest fire expert. So now we're going to the birthplace of Kim Il-sung. I believe he's the only dead president that's still in power. I could be wrong, but I believe that's the case. Our guide described him as the eternal president of the DPRK. Now we're going to what I presume is like a lovely little humble farm home. Yeah, it's actually really sunny today. Where was this when I was running the marathon yesterday? I was so cold yesterday. One thing I will say about the DPRK is it's just eerily quiet all the time. Like you could hear a pin drop in this country. I swear to God, this feels surreal for me. I'm sure this feels surreal for you seeing it as well. We've got to remember that I am part of the first group in 6 years to visit Pyongyang and to participate in the Pyongyang marathon. So this is it's generally a great pleasure of mine. I'm happy to take the torch for this.
Pyongyang is the historic spot and the birthplace where the great leader, General Kim Il-sung, the founder of our socialist Korea, was born.
Let me provide some more context about the leaders and the history of this country, just so you understand. North Korea has been ruled by 3 generations of the Kim family. All these leaders are looked at as if they're gods. It started with Kim Il-sung, the founder of North Korea. He led the country from its creation in 1948 until his death in 1984. He fought against the Japanese, fought the Korean War, and built a cult so intense he's officially still called the eternal president to this day, even though he's been dead for 30 years. Next came his son, Kim Jong Un, who ruled the country from the 90s through to 2011 until he died from a heart attack. He led with extreme secrecy and fear, oversaw one of the worst famines in modern history, and pushed the country's nuclear ambitions. He also had a thing for film, platform shoes, and giant sunglasses. When he died of a heart attack in 2011, within hours his youngest son, Kim Jong Un, the one you all know today, was declared the great successor. Despite being in his 20s with almost no experience, he quickly proved that he could handle the country, executing rivals and launching missiles. 3 different leaders, 1 family, no elections. Welcome to North Korea. This is considered one of the most holy and sacred places in the whole of North Korea. This is like going to visit the Korean version of the birthplace of Susan Boyle. It's a big deal. Yeah, this whole experience was kind of weird. Like the whole idea of this place was that the leader came from humble beginnings, and genuinely like a vast majority of people believe that this is like staged, like he didn't even live here, and it's just an attempt to make it look like he comes from humble beginnings. And a lot of this stuff looked very new, and don't get me wrong, they could easily be maintaining the place, but when we asked them, they said this was exactly how it was, 112 years ago. It could have just been lost in translation, but something didn't really feel right here. And also, this is just a kind of weird thing that you notice. There's just a lot of Korean men just placed in the woods, and there's no other reason for that apart from in case one of us tries to run away. You always felt like you were being watched. It was very strange.
There's an amusement park at the birthplace. This is a very random place of an amusement amusement park, because I've been told this is like the most like holiest place in all of the DPRK, and they've just got the Nemesis Inferno over there.
Have you ever been inside?
Yes, so many times.
Yeah. Also when you were young?
Yeah.
When did it open? What year?
Built in 1989.
We didn't spend very long there, it was kind of boring, but then right after we headed towards the sports village, which is exactly what it sounds like, it's just a village full of sports buildings. We were off to watch a Taekwondo presentation.
But this is a whole sports complex that was originally built for the Olympics. I believe the South and the North were going to host the Olympics together, but obviously, you know, they just didn't go ahead with it, but now they've got this lovely sports centre that they use for whatever. And over there you can see, so it's got the signs on them, weightlifting, I believe that's wrestling, and then there were some other ones over there, but we're heading to the Taekwondo one. That building is supposed to be the badminton building, and our guide told us the building is made to look like a shuttlecock. I do not know what shuttlecocks they have seen, but it does not look like one. So that's something you'll see a lot of. You'll see loads of people just on bikes like that. I believe most people in the DPRK drive bikes. They take bikes everywhere. As you can see, that guy had what I presume is a gas tank on his whatever. They have their shop and they take the bikes everywhere. And for this is actually very busy. This is the most traffic and cars that I've actually seen the whole time I've been in this country.
And that's because the average North Korean citizen isn't allowed to drive. They need permission from the state to be able to drive.
And I'm sure you've seen all over this video that they've got signs like this everywhere, all over Korea. But as you can see, it is a lot more relaxed than you think. For example, you can see there's no one behind me and there's no one ahead of me. It's not like what people make it seem like, where there's like a guide hanging off your scrotum. It's not like that. It's fine. It also depends on your guides. My guides are all super nice. They're all super nice, super lovely. They trust us, we trust them, whatever, you know. Now we're coming up to the Taekwondo school. Got a world map. I don't remember Iceland looking like that. Why does it look like Cyprus? Someone was telling me on one of the world maps yesterday that they left out the UK. They had every map but the UK.
So when we went to watch the Taekwondo, it was very weird, purely because the North Koreans opposite us were sitting perfectly one person apart. It was very weird. They would clap at the same time, cheer at the same time, and just the way they were sitting was so strange. There was nothing different about the Taekwondo than other countries. It was just loads of screaming and loads of smashing wood. At one point he just started getting whacked with these big poles. Either he had some pain kink or he was auditioning for the new Jackass. Then we got to go down and speak to them afterwards. And then some people had their own shot at trying to smash the wood, including my German friend from the marathon who ended up breaking his hand in the middle of North Korea where there's no hospitals.
That's the Juji Tower. Big concrete tower. I think it's the biggest in the world. Concrete, granite tower, whatever. Okay, I'm going to show you one of the weirdest things that you'll see if you ever come to the DPRK, and that's the fact that they take your temperature every time you go in anywhere. Obviously, I think since COVID, and this is the first tour since COVID, they've obviously been very paranoid. Understandably, first time opening the country in 6 years, makes sense, right?
Get ready for the strangest mid-meal entertainment you're ever going to see.
This is why my food is late. Oh, what the fuck is that? I'm gonna tell my kids that this was the Joker.
Then we had the most depressed violin player to ever live. Cheer up, love. It's not like you live in North Korea or anything. Then they did like this K-pop performance, which I thought was very strange.
Oh my god. What the?
North Koreans doing K-pop. What's next? English people drinking iron brew?
Okay, this is the famous Pyongyang cold noodles. What the fuck?
There you go. And now soak it in.
Yeah. You have a difficult mission now, man.
I had so much in my mouth I couldn't fucking swallow it. That's horrible.
I couldn't help but think they might have tasted better if they were hot.
Oh, that's horrible.
Oh, wow.
Oh my god. We got to leave a lovely note for the Korean people. I left very kind words in my awful left-handed handwriting. Have you seen mine? Chain Little Chihuahua. These are the only dogs that I've seen the whole time in the DPRK.
Now we started to head towards the greenhouse, which was actually one of the most interesting bus trips we ever had, because it was the most authentic side of North Korea that we actually got to see, and we got to see the countryside and all the farmers. But then we seen some concerning sides of it. I don't think I got any of it on camera, annoyingly, but there's plenty of times of when we seen clearly slave labour in the fields. You know, 10 or 12 people working the farm whilst there was military looking over them, and that's when we started to see a bit more of the whoa, okay, this is the real side of North Korea.
Originally, the site for this greenhouse was set for the airport, and we demolished the airport for the greenhouse.
So this greenhouse is apparently to supply vegetables for half of Pyongyang, and then we got to go see some of the vegetables for ourselves.
Honestly, I could make a Wes Anderson montage out of these shots. What did you say?
Aubergine.
Aubergine.
After those three lines are the
Aubergine. Thai eggplant's different. I learned that the hard way. Yeah, put my cock in that. There's some people literally walking in like, vegetables. Munching on a tomato like an apple is insanity. Oh look, more vegetables. Oh my god. This is like the inside of a PC.
I made a quick stop to the bathroom and seen something rather interesting. We've got fish over here, then we've got this tap that doesn't work. But this is where you're supposed to wash your hands, I believe.
Fuck, man.
Yep. After we left the greenhouse, I immediately fell asleep on the bus. And then I literally overheard something on the bus that made me wake up.
Every restaurant serves the dog meat soup.
If you can't tell by my hair, I was asleep. And I was asleep for like 40 minutes, and then all I heard mid-sleep was, and that's why we eat the dog meat. Now we're off to another restaurant, and I hope that there's no dog meat.
You know, each to their own, but I'm not really into deep fried Labrador.
This seems to be a regular occurrence when trying to eat food in Korea.
Only in North Korea would you have live music with a video of nuclear missiles going off in the background.
That's us just back from dinner, but it was so funny on the bus. Everyone was drunk and misbehaving, and the tour guide goes, but she was like, you must behave or I won't let you leave Korea.
You have to be smart because otherwise you can't leave the Korea, okay?
She's so funny. I love her. She's she's great.
And here's the stunning view of Pyongyang again. I actually can't get over this view, and I still can't believe it's Pyongyang.
But yeah, this is my last night as a 25-year-old. I turn 26 tomorrow, whilst in the DPRK. I don't know, I got a wee bit sad. I was like, oh, this will be my first ever birthday without talking to my family. But I guess that's what happens when you go to the most isolated country in the world on your birthday. But yeah, I will see you tomorrow on my birthday.